Hello and welcome to another episode of Hitting the Field. I'm your host, Eric Scott. Alongside with me is Justin Garfield and Daniel Bird. We're breaking down the UCF spring game that happened this past weekend, and I want to get straight to it, Daniel. What are some of the major key points you saw from this past weekend?
Well, I think obviously the first thing everyone was talking about was this new fast-paced offense we were going to have, and we did see a couple glimpses of that, but really Scott Frost said in his post-game press conference that this was, barely a fraction of what we can expect to see in terms of both the amount of plays and the offense that they kind of opened up to the public. And I think that, it was a good taste for the fans. I think we saw a little bit, but I think there's a ton of improvement. Frost talked about that in the press conference as well, that, this team, they got to be faster. They got to get to the line faster. They have to execute better, because the whole point of going fast is to catch, the defense off guard. And I feel like the offense wasn't up to the pace yet where we could really utilize the speed in a way that's going to help us get more wins.
Yeah, Justin, and when we talk about the quarterback position, what are some of the expectations? We're used to Justin Holman. Is there going to be a change at the quarterback position coming into the fall?
It's definitely possible. I think it's really going to come down to who really fits the system best and who's going to work hard enough to make sure that their skill set is ready for it. Because Holman was saying in the press conference that this system really requires you to be in shape, conditioning a lot more than usual. They get no rest time between plays, no huddle pretty much. So whichever quarterback I think is the most fit physically and for the system is going to take it over. And Holman may have a leg up because he has a little bit more experience than, say, Patty or Harris or one of those guys. But it'll be an open competition. I think that's a big storyline heading into the season.
Oh, and Scott Frost has definitely had the chance to watch the tape from the last couple of years. We've been able to see Justin Holman and the expectations. Sometimes the deep ball's there. Daniel, I want to get with you on this. Do you think he's going to fit in this system?
I do. From what I saw, we 6 quarterbacks on the roster, and they all got playing time in the spring game on Saturday. Holman definitely executed the best. I think he's gotten a grasp of this offense, what he knows of it so far, by far faster than Nick Patty, which I think is his only competition, really. Tyler Harris, he struggled a little bit. So I think Holman he's got the speed. There were a couple plays where they had him rolling out quite a bit, and he was able to, see that space in front of him and get the first downs. And he showed off his arm a little bit. And I think that he definitely is a starter coming into the season. Nick Patty struggled a little bit. I think Holman's got it pretty comfortably right now.
And Justin, everyone loves to talk about the offense and the change that happens from the 0-12 season to what's going to be coming next year. But the conversation has to start on the defensive side. We were a weak side on the defense, getting beat on deep balls last year. How do you think this maybe fast-paced tempo in these practices, like Daniel mentioned, we've only had about 15 practices. How do you think that's going to help our defense coming into next year?
Right. Well, I remember Scott Frost saying that the defense is actually our strength coming into the springtime, and it showed in the game that it was a really defensive, physical game up front. I think the front line is going to be pretty good. We've got some guys coming in that are taking over some of the graduating seniors. I think the defense will be pretty good. We've got our secondary is going to have another year under their belts too. Kyle Gibson is a name to watch. He's a great prospect that's coming up from the scout team hopefully this year and getting some playing time. I'm ready to see this team take over.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of veterans on this defense team, way more so than the offense, and they kind of did bully both offense, black and gold defense. They kind of pushed around the offense. So I think definitely, again, this season, we're going to have to lean on that defense, because the offense, even when the regular season comes around, it's not going to be a polished product. It really won't be. I think fans can't get too excited that this is still going to be a young offensive team and we're going to have struggles. But I think the defense can keep us in games, and I think they showed that pretty well in the spring game.
And it's a really early prediction when we come into looking to the next year and the expectations in the American Athletic Conference. But is this something that you guys think we can get a hold of coming into the fall and into the first game of the regular season, or is this going to be a system that we have to wait a couple years and see what Coach Frost can do?
I think right away it's going to show. I don't know if it'll be up to par completely. There's some stiff competition in the American Athletic Conference, especially with Houston winning it last year with a similar system. So I think we'll see glimpses of it in the early stages, but by the end of the season we'll have a very good grip on what's going to happen.
Yeah, but this isn't Oregon. Right. No, you're not going to see 63 points going up on the board. I don't care how many plays, Scott Frost wants to run. You still have to have the talent. And I know we have Traquan Smith out there. Justin Holman's a nice talent to have, but there's no Mariota out there or anything like that on our offense. And I feel like people need to take a step back. I know that we're really hyping here at UCF this fast-paced tempo, and I fear a little bit that people are going to have these astronomical expectations for this team, and I don't think we're going to be there just yet. Give it a couple years, but we will see progress. 0-12, you have to have something, some improvement this year. So we'll see a little bit.
That's right.
We're going to take a quick break, but when we get back, we're going to talk about the NBA. The postseason just got kicked off. We're going to talk about Golden State and the state of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Stay with us.
Central Central Florida is the perfect place to study, earn a degree, and of course, to enjoy everything that Central Florida has to offer.
From theme parks to dinner shows and, of course, the movies, Orlando offers many unique and exciting activities to do. However, we all know that a ticket to any of these attractions can be expensive, especially on a college student budget.
UCF Student Government Association has the nights covered with the SGA Ticket Center.
Located at the heart of campus inside Student Union, SGA Ticket Center offers tickets at a special discounted price to UCF students, faculty, and staff.
Not only do they have discounted tickets for theme parks, but they also have discounted tickets for other attractions like Blue Man Group, Pirates Dinner Adventure, and Kennedy Space Center.
Save your money and experience all Orlando has to offer.
For more information, you can visit their website.
Tonight on Deals After Dark. When I think of quality sunglasses, I think of boldness, but simplicity. And nothing provides both of those more than this set. Tonight, we have a pair of beautiful used matte black Oakley Holbrook sunglasses. These glasses offer an American frame accented with metal rivets and Oakley icons, perfect for buyers seeking performance and style. And do we have a deal for you guys tonight? For the next 40 seconds, that's right, 40 seconds, you have a chance to get your hands on this exclusive featured price of $110 or best offer. This deal, usually only available on Craigslist, could be yours for the 8 super easy payments of $13.75. Wow, I'm now hearing that we've actually gone down to one single pair. So if you're interested in this deal or any other products from our program, you can always log on to dealsafterdark.com or call us at 1-800-555-DEAL.
Welcome back to Hitting the Field. Carl Maximilian and Joshua Thicklin now join me. Guys, the Western Conference playoff games this weekend were pretty much just over with by the end of the first half. Much like we see in the Eastern Conference, Boston Celtics almost come back from the Atlanta Hawks. The Detroit Pistons give the Cleveland Cavaliers a run for their money. And I want to start there in the Cleveland Cavs, the number 1 seed in the East. They had a tough time in the first half against the Detroit Pistons. Josh, I'm going to start with you. Is that something we can expect coming into the series, or is Detroit just hot?
Unfortunately, this probably was the best chance Detroit had of stealing a game from the Cavaliers. Not every day. They were shooting lights out. Pope, I can't really say enough. The kid came out firing, had 21 points total. They were firing from all cylinders in they had 13 threes. Like, that's a game that you won't see from them again. It's really unfortunate. If they have more than one game like that in this series, I honestly would be shocked.
And Carl, and how happy were you with Kevin Love's display?
Oh, Kevin Love played a great game. The whole entire Big Three had a big game. Kevin Love at 28, LeBron 22, Kyrie playoff career high, 31 points. If you want to beat the Golden State Warriors or even come out of the East, the Big Three has to show out like that. And not every day Detroit's going to have a game like that where they're going to shoot lights out, 10 threes in the first half alone. Right. So if you want to win, they're going to have the Big Three has to have performances like that. So they just have to keep it going.
And Josh, we look at the second seed, the Toronto Raptors. They find themselves in trouble, down 1-0 in home court advantage. The conversation starts to wonder, can the Toronto Raptors perform in the playoffs because they have such a high gear for 82 games during the regular season? And we have to kind of assume, did DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry overachieve during the regular season that when they get to these playoffs, they just don't have that other guy to help them out in these big games?
I don't think it's a matter of fact of overachieving. I think it's the fact that I think we're putting a little bit too much into this game one. The internet legit just slaughtered the Raptors after this loss because it's very disappointing. But I feel that their backcourt, arguably top 5 in the league. Right. They can muster enough offense to compete with pretty much anybody. We saw it. We saw it over and over again, over 82 games. I'm not a true believer. I do believe there are certain teams, like we saw with the Hawks last year, that they're truly regular season teams. And we know when they get to the big boys, they're not going to cut it. But in this case, I think the Raptors have the tools to make that jump. They just couldn't establish a flow in their offense this past weekend. But hopefully, we'll see that change. I think DeMar DeRozan is going to really step up in this series. We all know Lowry is the leader of this team. Morally and also on the floor. But I think DeMar is in for a big series, and we're gonna watch it over the next couple weeks.
But here's the thing: this team always has trouble when it comes to playoff series. They haven't won a playoff series since 2001. That's a long time.
And isn't there something to be said that Paul George might be the best player in this series and he's on the other team?
Oh, for sure. Paul George is definitely the best player in this series, coming back from that broken leg injury, just having a phenomenal season this year. So if Paul George can will the entire Pacer team just to get another game and still another game and come back to Indiana, who knows what can happen in this series?
I think that game was just a reminder that, hey, NBA, Paul George is back. We forget that Paul George, we were talking about Paul George the way we talk about Kawhi Leonard prior to his injury. I truly believe that Paul George will be where Kawhi Leonard is right now if he wasn't hurt. He's a great two-way player, great two-way defender. Offensively, I think he's better than Kawhi is. He can give you buckets on buckets on buckets. He drops 30 like it's a bad habit, you know? So like, I think that's one thing that we have to see coming into this series, that Paul George, will we see Paul George truly return to form? This season, he's been amazing. I would give him a most improved player, or if the NBA had a comeback player of the year award, he would have it. His name would already have been sealed on it midway through the season.
Oh, of course.
And Carl, we talk about the Heat and the performance they had in their first game against the Hornets. The expectations for this Heat team are coming back as when LeBron was around. That starting five, you look at them with the addition of Joe Johnson, they become a threat in the last 5 minutes of the game because now they have shooters that can close out. Do you think the Heat give the best chance to now beat the Cleveland Cavaliers?
I think they are the dark horse team to come out of the East. If any team has it, especially psychologically, when LeBron goes to Miami, you saw what happened last time they played. They got whomped by the Heat. So if any team has a chance now, I think they have a better chance than Toronto does. So if it goes out that way and they meet each other in the conference finals, I definitely could see Miami Heat giving them the most trouble.
And Josh, we move over to the Western Conference. It's a couple complicated series there because we talk about which team is going to get finally a win. With the injury to Steph Curry and how questionable he may be moving forward, worrying about the injuries, do the Houston Rockets have the best chance to win the first game as a lower seed in the Western Conference?
They probably do, but honestly, it's just like with almost all the lower seeds in the West, it seems like it's a wash. It seems like it just seems like we're going through the motions. There's no really excitement there. When we look at teams, when we saw what OKC did, we saw what the Clippers did, like. And even these are great teams. These teams, let's not take it away. These teams in the West, if I honestly put them over there in the Eastern Conference, they would be giving these higher seeds a run for their money. But the West Elite is among the best in the league. It's kind of sad. Unfortunately, we're only going to see one of them in the finals, personally, to me. But
and who's that team going to be?
I don't want to call it too soon, but I think that most likely it'll be the Warriors. But I think the Spurs really have a strong shot at pulling together, especially with Kawhi Leonard playing the way he has this season.
I have to agree. I think the one team that could trump the Golden State Warriors, it definitely could be San Antonio. But don't sleep on the Thunder. I'm telling you, you got two top 5 players in the league with Durant and Westbrook on one team alone, and you got a guy like Ernest Cantor, who obviously to me is the 6th man of the year, coming off the bench, averaging 20 and 12, giving you a double-double off the bench. They need to go to Cantor more often. Pound it down, slow it down a little bit. Yes, they're a fast-running team, but slow it down with Cantor, and you'll definitely have a shot at beating the Warriors.
That's a wonderful point Carl makes. The Thunder were up by 40 points in the third quarter against the Mavs. We're going to take a quick break, but when we get back, Jeremy Taché will join us for the first time to talk about the MLB with Rachel White. Stay with us.
Experience the sea, art, lifestyle, travel. This is Seek to See More.
Welcome back to Hitting the Field. Rachel White and Jeremy Taché now join me for the first time. Welcome on the set, man.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
We're going to break down the NL and AL East, and really the conversation starts and ends with the Nationals, right? We look at the AL East, and we'll get into that topic. It's clustered all throughout, and we might expect that going into the summer, but look at the NL East right now. The Washington Nationals sit at the top at 9-2, and we were talking about it right before the show started. The Mets sitting at 5-6, and kind of the questions that they have. You believe that their pitching is going to help them get into the summer and then into the postseason. What are your concerns right now for the Mets?
Well, the concerns for the Mets have to be, obviously, the starting lineup and their lack of production in the middle of the order. Lucas Duda really is struggling in the 4-hole. Yes, he has a few RBIs, and he might actually even lead the team in RBIs, but he's an inconsistent hitter. He's basically a strikeout waiting to happen every time he steps up to the plate. So in the last couple of games, you've seen manager Terry Collins switch the young Michael Conforto, the left fielder, into the 3-hole, moving Cespedes to the 4, Neil Walker in the 5, and that's allowing the team really to produce runs in the middle of the order, which with arms like Noah Syndergaard, Jacob deGrom, Matt Harvey, big sexy Bartolo Colon, you're going to have the opportunity to win a lot of ball games.
Right. And Rachel, we talk about winning all these ball games, switching up the lineup. Does this pitching rotation have enough to get it done in October?
Oh, I definitely think so. Right now, they're not even really playing to the best of their abilities. Obviously, DeGrom's dealing with an injury as well as some family issues, so they really haven't even had the DeGrom that we're used to seeing so far this year. Syndergaard's been lights out. We haven't seen the best of Matt Harvey either, so I think if all three of those guys are pitching to the best of their ability, it's definitely going to be really tight between them and the Nationals this year.
When we talk about the Nationals, the expectations every year coming into the postseason, we're waiting for the Nationals to break through and really take hold of that NL East. With Strasburg and Bryce Harper, the conversation always interchanging between them two. What are some of the other key players of that team, that roster, that make a change coming into these summer months and as we move forward?
When you look at the Nationals, obviously they're going to be led by Scherzer and Strasburg on the mound, some of their younger arms like Joe Ross, and then obviously the main guy in their lineup is going to be Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper's carrying them. He's hit a homer in 4 in a row now. He's the MVP of the league for a reason. But when you look at the rest of the roster, you're really going to need to see production from their middle infielders, whoever they may be. They interchange a few guys, Espinosa's in there, and obviously Rendon playing third some. But I think their biggest acquisition in the offseason was not any player, but it was Dusty Baker. And Dusty Baker is a manager that's been there, he's tried and true, and he really knows how to get the best out of his players. Let's not forget, he was Barry Bonds' manager in the midst of his incredible career. And so you see a guy like Bryce Harper coming into form. I think he has a tremendous amount of respect for a guy like Dusty Baker, and that can help them going forward.
Right, and Rachel, we move over to the AL East and the Baltimore Orioles. The Red Sox were able to give them their first loss early in the week last week. But that division, it's going to be clustered all throughout. David Price has showed that he's worth the money for the Boston Red Sox, and really his whole entire career, he's produced for the Rays, he's produced for the Toronto Blue Jays, and now for the Red Sox. How uplifting do you think that is for the Red Sox? Because Big Papi has played well to start the season.
Yeah, I think they have to be feeling great about that because a lot of people were sort of questioning. I mean, they spent a lot of money on David Price, and he's not the youngest guy out there. But I think just to have him perform so well in the beginning of the season really just vindicates all the time and energy and money that they spent in the offseason. And they have to be feeling pretty good. As you said, Big Papi in his last year, getting something going, and I think they have a really good chance. That division is going to be tight all the way through. I don't see anybody really stepping up and taking a hold of it early. I think it's just going to keep getting passed back and forth for a while.
And Jamie, I want your opinion on something. The Toronto Blue Jays, they're so well known for their offensive power, but we look at what gets the job done really, and we look at the Kansas City Royals, to be specific, it's small ball and stealing bases and taking advantage and then closing out with the pitching. Do you think this Toronto Blue Jays kind of systematic plan to get themselves into the postseason is going to be successful as we move forward?
You look at a team like the Blue Jays, and yes, they kind of live and die by the long ball, and a lot of people have criticized that the same way people criticized the Warriors last year. They live and die by the 3 in the NBA. So you can kind of make that same type of comparison. It's go big or go home. The thing is, Jose Bautista, Josh Donaldson, Edwin Encarnacion, they're not just home run hitters. They're great hitters that happen to hit home runs. So a team like that can produce the way that's necessary. They hit for average. They're more than just big guys that hit home runs. They're not Adam Dunn. They're great ball players all the way around. And so it's more than just saying, all right, we're going to hit home runs or, we're in some trouble. So they have the opportunity to do some big things.
And then, Rachel, I want to quickly touch on the Yankees, some team that we haven't talked about much throughout all the MLB segments, and I think it's important to note there's a reason for that. And as we move along in the AL East, the conversation starts to get away from the Yankees because of the talent on the other teams. Do you think that is something that we should be expecting as we move forward?
I mean, the Yankees are the Yankees. I feel like they'll have a chance. I just feel like they're not they're not really that interesting anymore. As you mentioned, everybody's more focused on these younger, more talented players. Everyone's asking where A-Rod was the last couple weeks. He hasn't done anything. They actually made a move and moved him down to 6th in the lineup. So obviously the Yankees are desperate to try a little bit of something to mix something up, but I just think that the Yankees really aren't that interesting to anyone anymore.
It's going to be interesting as we move into the summer months to see what teams in the NL East step up to challenge the Washington Nationals as well in the AL East. We're going to take a quick break, but when we get back, the Banter Boys will join me to recap the Orlando City match that happened this past weekend to talk about the Champions League draw. Stay with us.
DC Comics brand new superhero collection. Oh no! Central City is under attack from Captain Cold. Luckily, the Flash is here to stop him. Captain Cold is no match for the Flash. The Green Arrow needs the Flash's help. The evil Deathstroke is trying to take over the city. The Green Arrow and Black Canary are here to stop him. Deathstroke is too strong to beat alone. With teamwork, they can defeat Deathstroke once and for all. Our heroes have saved the city. DC Comics Superhero Collection. Each figure sold separately.
Dangerous driving extends beyond just speeding, especially in the rain where light usage can be the most dangerous thing you do. This high-performance sports car might be able to handle tight corners in the rain, but if the driver can't see drivers around him, it just doesn't matter. Driving with your hazard lights on is illegal in the state of Florida, regardless of weather conditions. Hazard lights are only to be used while stopped on the side of the road. It makes it easier for emergency services to distinguish cars stopped on the shoulder. Not driving with your hazards on also makes turn signals clearly visible, along with brake lights. Increasing the visibility of your car in the rain will make your trips infinitely safer. And of course, remember that speed is the most important thing you can control while driving in severe weather. Speed and low grip are a deadly combination at any level of driver skill. For more information, visit your local Florida Department of Transportation office or the website shown below. Control the roads and enjoy the journey.
Welcome back to Hitting the Field. Connor Engelhart and Ben Sanders now join me on set. And we're talking about the Orlando City and the game that happened this past weekend and the struggles that really developed in the first half moving forward. After that penalty call, they really seemed to collapse offensively and no creativity. We mentioned when Kyle Laren stepped on, he got a lot better. Ben, I'm going to start with you. Let's go straight to the 90th minute, right? Kevin Molino probably gets a goal that he should be disallowed. And then take me through the PK, please.
Yeah, I mean, Molino, he did what he had to do. He scored a goal. Did he handle it? Questionably, yes, probably. He probably did handle it. Was his back to the referee? Yes, it was. Can the ref make that call? No, he can't. Yes. But when we're talking the second penalty, the one for New England, Silvano Carrasco, his arm is basically all the way behind his back and it hit him off the shoulder. I don't know what the ref's looking at. I don't know if he misplaced his glasses, his contact lenses. I don't know what Peter Walton at the Professional Referee Organisation. I don't know what he's paying these guys. I don't know who he's finding them, where he's finding them. But the standard of refereeing in the MLS is just, I mean, you touched on it. It's been absolutely shambolic all season. And they're getting away with it week after week after week. And they're calling penalties that aren't penalties.
You literally just mentioned it last week. You know, Philadelphia against Orlando City get the free kick. You know, it was a great free kick. You can't give anything against it. But the players were offsides behind the wall, interfering, you know, Benedict, the keeper. And it's 2 straight games Orlando City have dropped points because of refereeing decisions. And it's just tragic, honestly, because they've been playing probably the best top 5 soccer in the MLS so far this season. And they're 2-3-1. Sitting in 3rd in the East, which they could easily be atop. So it's a little disappointing for, you know, the Orlando fans.
But let's be critical of this Orlando City team. They haven't taken advantage of when they've been up in games, and they've really struggled to maintain success in the final third. I think the midfield-wise, they've been successful, Ben. And what are some of the changes that you need to see as we move forward into the season from Orlando City up top?
I mean, they've got to be more clinical. I mean, we've mentioned the other week, other than Kyle Laren, is there a true goal scorer on this team? We've put so much weight on that young man's shoulders to bang in goals, and every once in a while he's going to miss. Right. I mean, forwards miss, it happens, and you move on, you brush it off your shoulder, and you get on with it. But the problem is, do we have other players? Yes, Carlos Rivas can score on his day. Yes, Kaká can score on his day, and Adrian Vinter, we've got all these guys. But we need to take our chances. We had a play where we had four attempts to get in the goal from point blank range, and we missed all 4. Right. Like it's like unexcusable. Like, I don't know if Adrian Heath has got a do some more finishing drills. I just don't understand. We need to get more players clinically finishing in front of the goal.
It's an excellent point. We transition. Talk about clinical finishing. Cristiano Ronaldo and the performance he had this past week against Wolfsburg to clean up the UEFA Champions League and move into the semifinals. They're now going to take on Manchester City. Real Madrid fans have to be happy. Connor, what expectations for this draw?
I mean, the draws couldn't ask for probably a better possibility for finals, if you ask me, because you have the possibility of an Atletico, and Real Madrid final. You have the possibility of a Bayern Munich with Pep Guardiola going against his, next club for next season in City. And I can see easily any of these teams winning it. Now, I know everybody is saying that Real Madrid got the luck of the draw because City have never really done well in the Champions League. But the way City have been playing now that Kevin De Bruyne's back, it's been outstanding. Aguero gets a hat trick on the weekend against Chelsea. It was 10 men, but still, in the first half, they looked excellent. And I think it's going to be a great tie, that one. And Bayern can do anything against Atletico, but Atletico can play strong as they did against Barcelona as well.
Ben, we have to talk about Bayern and the luck that they've had recently in these UEFA Champions League draws. They barely get by Juventus, and then Benfica gives them all the money that they have. Do you think Atletico really gets out of this draw? I think, personally, they're the favorite.
Yeah, they can, because, honestly, over the season, they've been a better defensive team. I mean, you've got Bayern Munich centre-backs, and they don't have many fit centre-backs. I mean, Benatia keeps getting injured, Batstuber's out. I mean, they had to play David Alaba down the middle when Boateng's been out. So, I mean, they played a backline of four fullbacks, and you just can't do that against Atletico Madrid. They're taller, they're stronger, they're bigger players. I mean, they know that their identity is they're a scrappy, old-school, physical team, and Bayern Munich will have to put up with that over two legs, and they have to go back and play Atletico Madrid as well. It's not like they're just playing at the Allianz Arena where they've had it made for the last few seasons.
Do you think, though, that now that Atletico and Madrid are now in a title race, which we never would have thought 3 weeks back when they were both 9 points behind Barcelona, now could that take away from the Champions League, though, Ben?
It could, but the Champions League is still a massive tournament. La Liga is a big tournament. Champions League, you have beat the best in Europe from all of the big nations and all the smaller nations that have good teams. I mean, we're talking about Benfica. Benfica are a great side. And Man City are a good side. We've got all these sides from all these nations. And if you win that tournament, you are the best in Europe for a year. No doubt about it.
Quickly, Connor, I want to touch on Barcelona. We talked about it. They were top of the table, then they are sitting in the Champions League comfortably against Atletico Madrid. That has all gone away. Now they're only 1 point up in La Liga. Where do you think they finish in the La Liga?
I still think they have the best shot to win it out of any of the teams, but the way it's been looking lately, I don't think they're actually going to win it, because it looks like they're going to win it, but with Madrid, both Madrids, mainly Atletico I'm worried about, just like 2 years ago, they're really strong. I think they'll force their way and win the title.
It's going to be interesting how the UEFA Champions League and La Liga end up as we continue into April and head into May. That's all the time we have today on Hitting the Field. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day.